Hi, it's Joan. Today we're watching Criminal Minds, Season 17, Episode 4, Kingdom of the Blind. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go.
Car just conked out for
Is this going to be one of those things where you think the guy's the predator, but it's really the girl?
reason.
Fuel line's got a kink in it. Weren't getting any gas.
He was actually trying to help her, just in a fairly creepy way. Is this Gold Star related? Or a coincidence that she was very interested in his badge?
Hey, it's me. You are never gonna believe what's happening.
Why won't you go?
The data I copied on that phone has an encrypted key. You are the only one who can break it. You break it, we find out who paid to go.
You don't need to come and sit next to her when she doesn't want you near her.
For you.
I respect him for ultimately leaving, though he should have done it sooner.
Just keep out intruders.
And I respect her for saying no. I was really worried last episode she was going to say yes.
This is how I figure you out.
Oh. Me riding shotgun with you is how you
Is
figure out
Rossi
how I
intentionally imagining he's there then?
Why do you think he set you up?
I don't know. As crazy as he is, it just doesn't make
Okay,
sense.
so if he has now dropped the charges, that makes me feel like he wasn't necessarily behind it. Like, maybe the people were attacking him and they were like, they threatened him or something. Like, if you tell Emily anything, then we'll kill you. And so then when he sees her, he's like, oh, she did this to me, because then he'll get distance and he can hide. Or they've abducted him, whoever I don't know who these they are.
Makes sense. AJ, were you able to pull anything from the surveillance cameras in the garage?
She should not have looked.
In the parking garage.
Knowing doesn't help, and looking doesn't help. She has every right to, but at the same time.
Conspiracy theory could be manipulating Garrity.
Do you have any idea how many rabbit holes Brian Garrity has been down in his life? The
Which
moon
means
landing,
if there is a
Kennedy
Gold Star
assassination,
conspiracy
my
out there,
personal favorite, then we're just investigating bullshit that is not there.
we're all getting very emotionally invested in this.
Stage a family reunion with Boyd.
Okay, keep me updated, thank you.
Oh, hopefully it's going to be good for the girls in the long run.
Yeah.
I would like you to do that.
Come again.
Get the key.
Is this legal?
Anything in there is inadmissible.
Remember, you have an armed guard in there with you, and we will be here.
Though I think, in his own twisted way, he did love her. Not the way the rest of us love, not in a healthy way, but it is different.
Maybe even walk Holly down the aisle.
Stop. Do you have any idea? For them to have any chance at a normal life, you have to let them go.
You do, you piece of shit, on their shoe, dragging them down. That made no sense, but
I'll find you. I need to hold him in my arms just one more time.
That's not up to me.
I wasn't talking to you.
I'm sorry, this man does not go from, I'll find you, to, okay, if it has to be goodbye. Like, I'm sorry, when he's out or whatever his deal is, he needs to be, like, chipped so that if he goes within a 5-mile radius of his family, he gets pulled away. Because that, I will find you, that was the real him.
They were both beaten and enucleated.
Were there Gold Star bullets?
I
found at
really
the
learned
scenes?
the term enucleated from this
And the
season.
blunt force trauma to the...
You ready?
I'm really worried about how this is gonna go.
Are we?
Like, Harlow looks excited about seeing him, and that's not healthy for who he is. He could easily manipulate her.
There's got to be some kind of ruse involved to get them to pull over.
A helpless damsel in distress.
What do you think I'm doing right now? You think I'm finding a way to turn my family against
See,
me?
I don't believe Rossi is willingly imagining this man.
Convince them to retract
And I
their
don't believe in
testimony,
hallucinations like this, unless I'm completely wrong. And if I am, though, if you do get hallucinations like this,
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
mental health needed right now. Also, the hallucination doesn't have a shadow.
I said I...
Involves a program called Gold Star.
This conspiracy theory shit is linked.
When are you coming home?
I mean, what have they told Harlow? Like, obviously she's young, but she's not so young that you don't tell her, honey, your dad's a serial killer. Like, it's the truth. So if they just told her daddy did some bad things and they've locked him up, and maybe she thinks he didn't do anything that bad, like, obviously you want to protect your kids, but from this truth?
Because you shot at us.
I don't know wasn't shooting.
They actually haven't told her anything. How old is this girl? And is it because you shot at us, sweetheart? He shot at you. Why are you... They've told her nothing. No wonder she was so excited to see him. Which I understand, you don't want to tell a kid at any age what your parents have really done, but she's not prepared for this meeting in any way, shape or form, not knowing. And she is old enough to know because her whole life has been uprooted because of it.
I was trying to... Because I shot at federal agents.
In self-defense, why would we need new names?
Neither of them have been told.
What he's trying to say is that we shouldn't be punished.
They both should have been told. I understand wanting to protect your children, but at this point it's not protecting them by not telling them the truth. I assume they've been told, but they don't even know the full story of what happened. They aren't even dealing with the trauma of what happened because they don't know. What else was in her hand? Is that a... what's she holding?
I know you are a serial killer murderer. That's not the truth.
How did this girl get a literal knife into the cell? How the hell did they not search? I mean, you don't need to do like a strip search, but she wasn't exactly concealing the thing. How on earth did she get that through? Oh Lord, and he's going to use this to his advantage. So she found out the truth. This is why if her mum had just sat them down individually and told them the truth, it would have hurt like hell and there would be something they'll be processing for the rest of their lives, but she wouldn't have had this reaction. She'd have been more prepared somehow.
Dad. It's gonna be okay. Holly, I love you.
He did something. He slipped her something. You should have told your daughters the truth. He just either got the knife off of Holly or got a different knife off of Holly or slipped something from her. He's done something. I don't trust him.
It would free her from him.
It's not how it works, sweetheart.
Who we know he is now.
I don't think she's in her. I mean, to avoid, manipulate that bitch to the end of the earth. Tell him, oh, she's going to turn up just like you. Oh, you've corrupted her. Oh, you've ruined her. But I just think she's an extremely traumatized person. And I think not telling her the truth was the worst thing for her. She was definitely old enough to know the truth. And if she finds out about it any other way, like she has, this is the kind of... she just turns it all in on herself and lashes out at people and doesn't know how to cope with it. Harlow also should have been told.
About my daughter. Holly is in trouble. You have to intervene. You have to do it now. And not,
but if you're not a serial killer, what intervening would there be necessary?
Because you study it. If she goes
study what? Because you're not a serial killer. So if you're not a serial killer, then I don't think Holly's at risk of becoming anything like that. If you're just a man who was deeply concerned about his family's well-being, well then if Holly becomes that, that's quite a nice thing to be.
We will hunt her down. Just like we hunted you down.
I mean, yeah, manipulate this bitch to the end of the earth.
I can still shape hers.
You're doing the right thing.
They should have been armed with the truth before they met with him.
Thank you.
But I don't know, he slipped something to one of them. He's done something.
I think they're gonna be okay.
I really hope so.
All he knows is it's about a Gold Star program.
Program?
Yeah.
He did use the word program.
Do you think he's onto something? Nothing. It's not important.
Okay.
I hope that's because she's somehow come to a healthy conclusion about it all, and not because she's just spiraling further.
This cannot be.
So when I say I'm sorry, that's what I'm sorry about.
Huh. The patriarchy.
No. Yeah. Kinda. The truth is, I don't deserve you.
Not entirely sure that's what amends meant, but okay. It's healthier for both of you, at least for now. But you need to also not continue to go down the same path and continue to do the same things you've been doing wrong. Which you have been continuing to do. Going rogue, doing whatever you wanted. Gold Star. Gold Star Club.
Never let your guard down.
Gold Star Club, yay!
These members of the strike team had a specific target, two of which you've already ID'd, Aiden Keller and Jade Waters.
Chances are they're trauma bonded, and it all goes back to Stuart
Yep.
House.
Does any of this help
Yeah,
us
my
figure
God.
out who started the Gold Star program?
The
Or
Stuart
who
House
funded the
trained
escort
kids into
That's all
killers.
negatory.
We're to reach out to Damien and lure him into a trap. We get one, we get them all.
That's a beautiful pitch, boss.
Yeah,
but you
how?
can't exactly reach out to this Damien guy.
We know who can. You
Fuck.
implied you talked to Gold Star on the guards.
I mean, like, I know he gets us closer and maybe does stop some killings in the short term, so we do have to work with him, but part of me would be so tempted to just be like, oh dear,
This prisoner to the FBI.
the van crashed and he died in that accident. Oops. Obviously, ugh, not really, but the temptation would be there. The biggest revelation in some ways in this episode was that the girls had not been told their father was a serial killer. I for sure thought they would have been. I know wanting to protect them is the right thing to do, but it's the kind of truth that they could easily find out by accident down the line, or already, as with Holly. And also it gives them, I feel like, as awful, I mean, I don't even know how you would begin to process the fact that your father is a serial killer and like all the darkness that that entails, but at least that helps you to make a clean break from him. That helps you to go, he is a bad person. You would still have the residual, but we had those lovely mornings together and he was my dad and he was kind and he'd hug me and, you know, he knew just the right story I liked at bedtime when I was little. You know, all those residual warm memories you'd have of when he was a good dad. But knowing he was a serial killer and knowing that like it had been proven would help you make a break. It wouldn't be necessarily a clean break like I just said, but it would be a more, yeah, I don't want him in my life because he has done these awful things. You'd have to be a pretty fucked up and selfish person to be like, oh, I hope he comes home and is my daddy again, knowing that he was a serial killer. And also it means you can help them process that yourself. Holly has found this out and she has been dealing with it by herself, and it led to her sneaking a knife in to try and kill him. Instead of just talking to them about it. Now with Harlow is younger, so I can see the even more of a compulsion to not want to tell her, but I do think she's old enough to know because she's already going through this huge trauma. It's not like her life is otherwise unaltered and she's not aware that anything major has happened. And it explains why them being in hiding is so necessary and why witness protection is so necessary, is because of exactly who this man was. I do hope Holly gets into her counselling, and I hope Harlow does as well, because both girls have been through severe trauma, and also there is a good chance they've inherited some not so great stuff from their father, given that he seemingly got it, his parents seem to be shit, and his uncle was also a serial killer, so it definitely seems to be something in their family's genes. But that scene with them and realizing they didn't know, and then Holly getting him to a thing and it said I'm a serial killer and then denying it, because obviously he's denying it. Now clearly the fact that he was so concerned about where his daughter was going, whether that concern was put on or real, I do think he does care about them in his own way. It's not the way normal people care, but it is a version of that way. That level of concern about her, if you are not a serial killer, if your brain is wired perfectly normally, and you know, you just shot at the FBI because they were encroaching on your home, and you made this network to connect people, you didn't, like, whatever he's blabbering on about, but claiming not to be a serial killer, why are you acting like it's red alert for your daughter to lash out at a man who ruined her life? Oh, is it because you're a serial killer? The thing that is keeping me going, I mean, the thing that's keeping me going is that I do enjoy this show, as twisted as it is seeing Voight be defeated ultimately and seeing him lose all hope. I need it to happen. I need it to not be that, like, he tries to escape and he gets shot in the head. Like, I need him to know it's over. He's exposed. Everybody knows it. His family are better off without him. The world knows he's a piece of shit, and he has no prospects of ever being free ever again. Prison is so much worse than a death sentence. I know that he apparently is going to get a death sentence if he's revealed to be Sicarius. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. So did you see how people acted during lockdown when they were locked down in their own homes with the internet, with whatever TV show they wanted, with an hour, like being able to go outside whenever they felt, I mean, for an hour a day, but it was whenever they wanted an hour a day, being able to order whatever food they wanted, being able to wake up when they wanted, like, people were so dramatic about lockdown, which fair enough, I think it was hard for a lot of people. I'm not trying to belittle that. But then those people are like, prison, nah, prison's easy. And no, prison is hell. I don't think it even should be as hellish as it is. Life in prison is far worse than death. Death is getting away with it far too quickly. But regardless, I need him to realise it's all over, not to be shot in the head. And all these smug looks he's done to be permanently replaced in my mind by a look of failure and dejection, because it would just be beautiful. And I think Zach Guilford could act it very well. I need Roxy to tell someone he's hallucinating Elias Voight, because at this point it's getting ridiculous. Because it's either like bad TV show writing, which so many shows do, or he's having an actual mental break, in which case he should not be armed with a gun going after killers. He should be getting mental treatment somewhere. To this case, finding out Gold Star is this group of 5 or 4 now, I guess. I was gonna say kids, they're like a couple years younger than me, like young people who were abused horrifically in this facility and trained into being killers and are now trying to be stopped because they've gone rogue or something along those lines. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure why the government would be so, oh my god, we have to hush this up. Like, if it isn't a government program, it's an independent program, why would they be so bothered about it? Like, we found out a shady thing. I mean, it's very shady. It would be all over the news, but unless it's going to turn out that like the current president was the CEO of the facility or whatever. That's all I can think of, that someone high up in the administration, before they were in politics, they were part of this. Because otherwise, why would they care enough to let a serial killer get away with being a serial killer and release him to no doubt continue serial killing just to cover up Gold Star if it's not actually linked to the government? I'm quite confused. I mean, I'm confused, but I'm like waiting for it to make sense when we have all the answers. I'm not confused like this is bad writing. I'm confused like the pieces aren't piecing. I don't care about Penelope and Tyler at this point. I didn't ever really care. Maybe I've just never experienced this lust at first sight that is also love at first sight, that is this bond beyond anything you can ever break, despite hardly knowing each other. I don't know. But I'm glad ultimately he gave them the phone, and I'm very glad I was at the end of the last episode, I was so disappointed. I was thinking, oh god, she's gonna hack it illegally. Now obviously she technically still did hack it illegally, but it was kind of with Emily told her to do it, and it was sort of, I don't love that they did do it, because while this is a case of the cops doing it for a good reason, it's the sort of thing that starts making it seem that when cops do it for a bad reason, that, well, you know, they did it for that good reason that one time, it starts to make police brutality and police action that's wrong look more acceptable to us. So I don't love that they did it, but I at least like that they did it as part of the team rather than going rogue. And if Tyler wants to make amends, he can start being an actual team player and stop running off doing his little illegal missions. Anyway. I feel so sorry for Voight's girls and for Voight's wife, and I just hope, I hope we never see them again, and by that I mean I hope they're in winter protection and they get to thrive. But that moment when Voight said, I'll find you, and then the next second he was, oh, okay, honey, I'll do whatever you... Why are people still not acting like that man? If he gets his deal, if he gets out of prison, he's going to hunt his family down. He isn't going to think they're better off without me. He's going to think they are mine and I want them. Like, I would be having nightmares of that man saying, I will find you, until I died. I really hope the girls now know the truth, because it's not going to help them to not know. They need to be armed with all of the truths about their lives. And I know that I was just saying, like, I don't know if JJ should have known. Maybe she would have been better if she didn't know. But I think those two situations are entirely different. Like, this is something that will shape the trauma they're going through. This is something that will shape how they view their father. Are they going... obviously you will always grieve the father you thought you had, but they will also be grieving that with the knowledge that he's not there. They're not being kept from him. He just doesn't exist. I don't even know where that's going to go. We have more information about Gold Star. We're bringing fucking Voight, and he is just so like, nothing is gonna... I don't think he's gonna slip up. That's the thing. At this point, I don't know. All I can think of is if he is gonna slip up, it's not gonna be when they're directly angling for it. It's not going to be easily. It's going to be at some point when he is so cocky and he's so convinced he's got away with everything and that he's on top. That's when he's going to let his guard down and let something slip. But at this point, I honestly don't know how they're ever going to get him to confess, and all I can think of is either he's actually going to get released, which if that happens, Jesus Christ, that would be terrible, or he's going to die. And I don't want him to die, I want him to fail. The team is struggling left, right, and centre. They are fracturing. These are two very, very high stakes, stressful cases back to back. I hope they're all, getting their mental health help, self-care, whatever it is, whether it's a therapist, whether it's yoga, I don't know, whatever you need. I hope they're all doing it. Very good episode. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.